Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. BTM here, bringing you match 30 in my Age of Empires 3 series. We got a Chinese, a Japanese, and a British on my team, with me playing as a Chinese, facing off against a British, and an Iroquois. Right off the bat, I'm going to put on my villagers to doing their generic normal stuff, and the game is going to get underway. It is obviously a 3-on-3, and it is on Deccan, as always. I swear, it is impossible to find a match not on Deccan. As this match kind of starts to unfold a little bit, I'd just like to get off the bat and apologize for not having content coming out the last few days. My computer monitor broke, it burned out, it was unoperable, and I had no choice on what to do other than to wait for being able to get a new one, and that meant I had to first see if my old monitor could be fixed. It meant I had to do a lot of things, and unfortunately I had no computer for about 2 weeks, and therefore no content out. So again, I'd like to just apologize to all you guys. I love doing this. I love the fact that you guys watch and are so excited to be there. Unfortunately, I was unable to provide the content. However, I'm back now, new monitor, 23 inches, it's gorgeous. I'm super stoked. So we're gonna keep up content, hopefully, and as long as this monitor doesn't burn out, we're going to be in good shape. So I just wanted to let you know that's where I was. I wasn't joyriding through the country on the motorcycle. However, I'll be honest, I might not make videos either if I end up going and doing that. So let's get back to the match. I am, of course, playing China again. I am doing my 2 villagers in the Northern Refugee card strategy, which will allow me to have 3 villagers with my first shipment. It works really well in Deccan. I am using my modified rush deck, which I believe I covered in the last video, if I remember correctly, except that I did add the trading post card in this deck. I don't remember if I covered that in the last video. But all around, it's a very good deck for a 3-on-3 on Deccan. We're going to keep making villagers. Instead of aging specifically with 13 or 15 or 17 villagers, I'm just going to age when I have enough food, while continually making villagers to age up with. And I'm going to do that for a few reasons. I know that the Iroquois has great rushing potential, but I am not worried at all. Might notice here, by the way, I'm looking across the map just trying to see if there's any treasures or anything worth grabbing. But then I changed my mind and I decided to go to the top of the map and explore and see, because I know there's good treasures over there. I am slightly worried about the Iroquois getting a little bit of an early rush, but he has 2 British allies, so I'm not concerned about that at all. I know that the British simply just aren't going to get off the bat as quick as the Iroquois will, and I know that I can definitely handle British players or an Iroquois rush, and I assume that my teammates can too, especially since Japan is a very strong rush civilization. Now, you may have noticed, fortunately, I did have waypoints set from all of my villages, so we were able to get everything going right as fast as possible, and we currently have villagers on 3 different hunts, really diversified, allowing us to gather quickly and safely near our town center without having to spread out away from us. Now I'm going to grab that treasure. I believe that's a 90 wood treasure, and I'm very happy about being able to grab that treasure, because I can grab that 90 wood treasure and this 100 wood treasure, then or my 100 wood crate that I started with, if that is indeed 100 wood left over, then that should actually only put me about 10 wood away from my trade, or from my war academy, which would be excellent. Now, in terms of aging, I decided to age with the porcelain tower for a few reasons. The primary one being that I felt like the trickle of resources would have a bigger long game impact than a few extra units or the initial 500 food of the summer palace. And I also felt like I'd rather have the resources than the flying crow, because I expected one of the British players to amass Hussar against me. So that was kind of my mentality. Now, I want to grab a trading post here instead of the War Academy. We'll go over that in a minute. But first, I'm going to grab the 65 coin treasure, and I'm going to do that because my first army, my first banner army, will likely be a standard army, I'm guessing. And I'd like to be able to not have to gather any coin on hand before I get that first army. So basically my plan here is to make a standard army for my first army, and then make Old Han armies for the rest of my armies. Now, I decided to go with the trade post instead of the War Academy right off the bat with that wood. And the reason I did that is because if I build a War Academy at the forward base spot, I then build it, then I wait for units to come, and then I have my military. If I build the trade post, I might be able to get an extra shipment by the time I have that War Academy up, and I'll have the long-term effect of, I'll have the military units the same, Plus, I'll have the long-term bonus of the trade post, all the experience trickle, and I'll still have my War Academy built up relatively quickly. So that was my mentality, why I went for that trade post first. And in general, I love trade posts. Now, at this point, our economy is kind of a 12-6 split, which probably isn't as good of a split as it should be, considering that we're planning to go pretty heavily Old Han here in a second. So I probably should have split my economy a little bit better. However, I was very sensitive to the amount of food it takes for the armies, but I was probably a little bit oversensitive in that regard, actually. Fortunately, here, though, I am going to find another wood treasure, or coin treasure, pardon me, and we'll be able to gather it, and that should even further help me make a standard army or two, even as my first initial armies. And again, we never play a game, especially a real-time strategy game, saying you have to follow X, Y, and Z. They're kind of like the Pirates Code. They're more like guidelines. So yes, I want to be doing something. I want to have an army out quickly. I want to be wise or this or that. But no, I'm not going to be anal about following the suggested route, because it is just that. It's a suggestion. I need to play the best and smartest possible game I can to counter whatever I'm facing. So that's what's going on there. Now I am going to get a shipment really fast like I expected, and I'm going to go and grab another trading post instead of making Old Han armies off the bat. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I have enough gold for another standard army. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired. This is my second time recording it. My first time went away, unfortunately. I accidentally didn't save it properly. So, as I was saying, I'm gonna. Oh my goodness! I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me get off. Let me get back on the right track. So we are gonna get another shipment from our home city, and I chose that shipment in building the second trading post because I knew that I had enough gold to buy a second standard army. Now we're in a little bit of a predicament here. Yellow's forward barracks has fallen, and my army is situated behind their armies, which are likely going to begin pressing forward. And even though that seemed like a grim situation, I wasn't too worried off the bat, because I figured we could flank them and probably squish them in between us, and we'll be fairly well off if that happens. Now, I have a little bit of a surplus of food. I probably should have checked already to see if I can build another army, but I probably cannot just yet. So, at the same time, though, I am sitting on almost 700 food. I probably should have had so many resources idle at this moment. There we go. We're going to finally get some villagers coming. I'm going to send 7 step riders, and the trading posts are really paying off at this point. I'm getting all my military shipments, and soon I'll be getting my upgrades as well. And now I get my Old Han army on the field, or ordered. Hopefully it'll be on the field soon. And now we're in a little bit of a tricky situation. Both green and it appears orange are sieging our walls with blue and yellow on the other side, and I am approaching from behind, so hopefully we're going to be able to kind of get the drop on him here and make a little bit of a sandwich. Now, green's going to actually run away here from me, or from the wall, which I find to be really, really foolish, because it's going to allow both blue and yellow to walk up behind them and get a ton, an absolute ton of free fire on their units, and it's going to turn this very, very ugly situation into a very, very good situation for us. Not ugly, because I think we probably could have won that battle, but it's going to make it go from a very, very close and even battle to a we definitely have the drop on them and they're running away from us battle, which is an excellent, excellent situation to be in. So we're going to kind of keep the tempo going up a little bit here. Now, green's a little bit of an enigma at this point just because he has such a mass units, but I believe they're mostly archers. And this is kind of a problem here. They all have archers, and I have my various armies. Both of my teammates are only making musketeers, and that's going to kind of put us in a little bit of a rock and a hard spot, because their units aren't going to do as well long-term against the massive archers. They're going to all die and get absolutely torn apart, which is really going to kind of hamper our game efforts, unfortunately. So we're going to have to work around that. Hopefully they'll stop making musketeers, but I'll be honest, spoilers, they don't. They keep spamming musketeers. So fortunately, though, I do have my step riders I ordered from my home city coming here, and I'm able to just keep eating alive an absolute ton of longbowmen, and we're in good shape, albeit, for now. It's going to be very important for us as players, though, to really take the center of the map and destroy his forward base and push them back. We can't allow them to coexist there. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity to build my consulates, and we're attacking that barrack with their the barracks with their units on the other side here, and kind of a little bit of a mistake here by blue and yellow. They really should have focused on the units before focusing on the barracks, especially since longbowmen have such a long range. As opposed to normal units, it really allows them to kind of just stand back and just rain down death and destruction. They really should have been pursuing those the army of the enemy instead of standing back there and taking all that residual damage. Fortunately, though, they're going to realize now, and I know we're kind of in a little bit of a rock and a hard place just because we have to navigate around those barracks to go attack them, but we really should have done that much faster. We're going to do it now, though, and be able to get the tempo on them, but we would have been much better off if we had got them to drop on them quicker. So, not the end of the world, though. They made their mistake by walking away from the gate when my army appeared behind them, which actually kind of worked well. I guess it's almost like a scare tactic. We made a mistake here, though, by not pushing in, and now we're in trouble, so we've really got to go back. Now, I say back, and then I waited a second before actually moving my army back, because generally I find myself, I tend to say back after I've already moved my army back. And I didn't want to screw my teammates over by having my army already gone before I tell them, hey, I'm leaving. So we kind of lose the tempo of that attack here, and we're going to have to move onward and figure out what we can do. So I'm going to split some Quang pikemen off my main army of Choco Nose while upgrading my trade post. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to march those hopefully into whoever's on the top right of the map's town, and just distract them a bit. I don't want them to think about the middle of the map, if you know what I mean. I want them to be thinking about the little annoying things that are keeping them, obviously, from going and worrying about other issues. Now, fortunately here, though, I get very, very lucky. I looked away from my Quang pikemen. I just kind of set them waypoint to the walk area, and then to stop, and then I'd look at them and remove them. When I eventually go back there to look at them, after I task all my trading posts to food and gold, and I'm doing that because I'm going to have to start spamming out standard armies. I fortunately happened to catch Orange Villager trying to build a wall, and I'm going to be able to kill it. So I got very, very lucky there in how that all played out. And I got lucky in general because I'm raiding in several little locations. None of the other players actually know how much of a military I have or I don't have. They're it's kind of like my bark is a little bit bigger than my roar at this point. I'm appearing all over the map doing things, but they haven't really been able to resoundingly defeat me in either one place yet. And here even I have some disciples in Redstown, as we discovered it to be Redstown, just causing some problems. I know they're going to die. I'm not really, counting on them to survive or do an amazing job. I literally just sent them in there to distract him and kind of get his mind off of whatever other better plans he could be having. So, moving forward in this game in terms of taking this from, alright, we've had our opening skirmishes and winning the game, the thing I'm really going to have to do, because all three of the other players are appearing to mass archers, is I'm going to have to start massing cavalry. And to do that, I'm going to have to separate them from my armies. And that's just something as a Chinese player you should know to do in general. You don't want to mix in your cavalry, your pikemen, and your Choco No. You want to keep them all separate. You're playing your steppe and your Choco No. They need to be separate. They need to go do their own thing. Don't mix them all in. It's not a wise choice in the slightest. You want to allow the cavalry to be cavalry, right? Cavalry? I get told all the time how to say it. I'm never quite sure. I'm sorry. You want your cavalry to be able to move around and attack and flank and do everything that they need to do without being slowed down or taking fire while marching in step with the infantry. So that's kind of why I split up my units here, and it's going to actually work out pretty well, because as you can see, I go into marching and start attacking red and green. Again, I'm doing this just to keep some pressure on them. Hopefully I can pick off a few units, and that's kind of what goes on here. Start picking off musketeers, and this is a great deal for me, because musketeers are so much more expensive per capita than Choco No. So whenever I'm able to defeat a small trickle of units walking up to me like this, it really puts me in a very, very good spot in regards to just killing units and doing well as an army. It really maximizes the value of my units. Now, I go to attack him here, and fortunately, his longbowmen, Orange's longbowmen, start running up at me, and my step riders are flanking him. It's an excellent, just stroke of luck that my step riders were moving forward while his longbowmen were moving forward. We're going to be able to just decimate and kill a ton of them, but then we're going to run back after having killed a good amount. I don't want to push my luck. I know that we definitely have a pretty good advantage at this point, and Blue now has arrived with a pretty sizable army of his own, so now's the time to get going and get some pressure on. Now, as you can see here, I do send my step riders around my main army of Chocono to flank, and I do that because I see that army of orange longbowmen on my right side of my army, or I saw them there, and I'd like to try to kill them all with relative ease with my step riders, while my Chocono protect Blue's musketeers. I think they're Ashugaros. Not quite sure how to pronounce them. I haven't read the name in quite some time. But while I can protect Blue's units and just get more damage inflicted, and that's exactly what's going to happen. He now has a giant, and I mean an absolutely giant mass of longbowmen there, and I have a mass of step riders running in and meleeing them. So it's a very, very good position to be. We've got the right unit in the right place. I'm not sure what Yellow's doing at this point in the game, but it seems like me and Blue got it. Blue's backing me up, and I'm all over the place, you know, winning fights, guys. This is what I'm doing. Unfortunately, though, my economy's a little bit messed up at this point. I got a 797 split, which is atrocious. I don't need that much coin in my reservoir, although that is from my trade post, so that's not the end of the world. But I do need more food, and I do need less wood in reality. So I'm kind of fixing that now a little bit. I moved to a better shift, and I am going to go retake my trading post. Now, I guess in my mind, watching this game back, and this is the second time I watched this game back since playing it, I'm really just struck by the amount of impact on the game trading posts can have. If I hadn't grabbed the trading post, I would not have been able to spam units over the center of the map like I did. And if I hadn't spammed units over the center of the map, our team would have lost, because in pretty much every single major fight this game, I've either been the driver or a major factor in it. I've initiated, I've been aggressive, I've kept them off their feet, I've killed tons of units. So I just encourage you guys as watchers to really not overlook the trading posts. I don't understand why on a map like Decan, people so often overlook the trading posts. It can have a massive influence on the game. Now at this point, we are going to finish taking control of the second plateau. Red's going to run inside his base with those units rather than leave them out to die. The reason's simple. Those 10 musketeers won't make any dent at all in our combined army, so he's going to run them inside his wall. Hopefully once inside his wall, they'll be able to group up with some other units and actually be able to mount effective defense. I, however, meanwhile, am finally, and I mean finally, going to build a market. Really poor timing of my market choice. I haven't played in a while, so a little bit rusty. I really should have had the market built 10 minutes ago, if not sooner than that. I've been sitting on a good amount of resources for quite a while, and it's never wise to sell resources. Should always be using them. You don't really get an award just for collecting resources. I mean, you can win, great, but you want to do whatever you can to win in the most efficient way possible. And I kind of messed up here in terms of doing that. Now, I decided to march up to this middle wall instead of go for the very obvious one where we were by, because I wanted to get the attention of both red and green, which border orange in the middle. I didn't want either red or green to go run and do their own thing. I wanted them both to be preoccupied with stopping me. So that's kind of why I made the decision at this point to go attack the middle. Hopefully both of the orange's allies will show up there and be determined to protect. Now if I look here, you look on the minimap, you're actually going to see Yellow's army back in Red's town, and I did not notice that actually until right now. So even though Yellow has not been up front necessarily with his military, Yellow has definitely been causing some problems and some headaches for the other team. Have been doing a good job. Blue has been backing me up, and I've just been running around with my Chocono. Now I kind of make a stupid choice here. I decided to go run into Red's town to kind of get a little bit of pressure to start shooting things. And I leave Blue to face that combined army of green and orange, which, looking back on it, the game would have been a wiser choice for me to match up and attack that main army right away. However, I realized my mistake fairly quickly, and I do march in to go back up my ally. Fortunately, though, he's done a good job, and now at this point, Yellow has a tremendous amount of veteran musketeers marching in, and it really looks like we're in good shape. Just as it looks like blue's about to break, my massive step riders runs in, and we're just going to start absolutely butchering all of those longbow men that kind of last. At this point, orange decides to resign because it's pretty much hopeless, and the game from here gets pretty much wound down. It pretty much winds down. So it was a good game. I didn't play super well, but I don't think I made a complete fool of myself. I definitely had a lot of mistakes. I didn't utilize my market. My aging times were all very, very sloppy. I had a lot of idle villagers. I didn't micromanage my military very well for most of the battle. So definitely a lot of room for improvement on my part. But I'm definitely going to keep working on improving. I actually have not slept in a few days, beyond a few little hours here and there. So I haven't actually had a good night's sleep in about a week. I've slept 3 or 4 hours each night. So I apologize if I sound a little tired. I just really wanted to rush. I got back home. I really wanted to rush and get this video out to you guys as soon as I was home and as soon as I had my monitor. In case you're wondering, I took a little bit of a trip for a few days with my dad who came into town, and I didn't have a monitor, so there was nothing I could have done either way. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do have my request list. We're going to get to videos. We're going to keep on growing and improving and doing the best we absolutely can with this channel. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. By the way, you may have noticed in the main page of the awards, I did have the most military units and the most military units killed. That was awesome. I killed nearly as much as 2 other people, red and green combined, on the other team. So I felt thrilled about the way I played this game. Despite the fact it wasn't clean, I definitely helped pull my team's weight, and that made me glad. So I'm sorry if this video was a little bit, if I sound a little bit tired or it was a little bit rushed. We're definitely going to get back to the normal swing of things and doing very, very high quality, very, very good videos. And we're going to get to that very, very long list of requests I have. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until I catch you guys next time, good luck and happy hunting. This is BTM, and I'm out of here.